Toxic masculinity says that flexing isn't superficial. Toxic masculinity says all women play games. Toxic masculinity calls the driver queer for driving too slow, a cunt for cutting him off. Toxic masculinity says, I don't get how you call yourself queer when I've been inside you. Toxic masculinity doesn't eat pussy. He got over it when he was younger. Toxic masculinity says, poets are dicks, you're really gonna write that down? Toxic masculinity admires himself in bed, he's always on top. He won't tell me I'm pretty because he thinks I'll leave him. Toxic masculinity is insecure but thinks he should try modeling. He calls emotions false and weakness. He gets mean when I don't smile. He calls me sensitive. When I make him mad, he says, say it again, I'll stick my dick in your butt. Toxic masculinity has tiny nipples and hard abs. He's not comfy to cuddle with. He smells like smoke. He won't kiss me because I asked him to this time. Toxic masculinity always wants to be in control. He thinks he needs to protect me. Toxic masculinity gets jealous of my career, tells me he needs space, then doesn't understand why I'm leaving. Toxic masculinity can't make up his mind. He needs a job. He wants to learn poetry because he hates that I'm good at something he isn't. Toxic masculinity is always giving me advice. He argues with me until I say something really mean and then says, I got you, that's who you really are. Toxic masculinity cooks well, but he needs to hear it. He needs to hear he's perfect all the time. He says he falls in love easily. He says women always leave him. Toxic masculinity is a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'm scared to end it with toxic masculinity because I don't know how he'll take it. Sometimes he's really sweet. Sometimes he really listens. Maybe I deserve toxic masculinity. Maybe I was hurtful too. Toxic masculinity takes jabs every chance he gets. He wants his own poem, but not this poem. Toxic masculinity's friends hate me. They think I'm arrogant. They think I'm changing him. Toxic masculinity says I'm sorry, but only after he's pushed too far. I don't blame toxic masculinity. His mom abandoned him. He knows I'm settling with him, knows I will leave him too, and sometimes toxic masculinity cries. He says he wants to love me. He says I confuse him. He confuses me too. Toxic masculinity isn't sleeping well without me, but he doesn't care that I'm tired. He continues telling me his problems. He wants to be heard. He wants a hit. Toxic masculinity was late for our first date. He brought a friend.